So, you want to become a VTuber, but you don't know where to start. What do we do? Well, guess what? Bo's here to help. I've been there. I've done that. I know what to do. I'm here to help. There are many steps that you have to go through, and it can be a little bit daunting. I can admit to that. But, you know what? Take it step by step, follow my instructions, and it'll all be easy, man. So the first step is the design. Now you have to think, what do you want the model to be? It can be absolutely anything. I will be going over VTuber design in another video, so remember to subscribe, to hit that bell, and you won't miss out on any of the videos that tell you how to. Next up, you got to think about what VTuber model you actually want to go for. Do you want to go for a PNG tuber, a live 2D tuber, a 3D VTuber? There's many options. So this is going to be going over the live 2D. Now, we all know, unfortunately, this commissioning stuff isn't cheap. It is, it can be a little bit expensive. For me to actually pay for my model, I had to sell my camera lenses and some bits because, you know, this stuff isn't cheap. If you want to be able to do all the different things, like, or, I didn't do it. I done teeth. If you want little things, it costs money. It costs a little bit extra. Now you have to write down all the different things you want your VTuber model to be able to do. Now I don't want you to hold back. I want you to get lost in creating. You might not be able to do any of it, but you want a list of what you want. Because eventually, maybe, one day if you're successful, you'll be able to get exactly what you want. Aim high! Aim for the sky! And that includes little animations as well. So for me, one of the first things I wanted a little butterfly. Anything you want your VTuber to want. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Anything you want your VTuber to do, write it down. It could be possible. I didn't know if I could have a butterfly land on my nose, but there we go. And I've integrated it into my Twitch. So now viewers are able to actually send me a butterfly or a snowball. Like that. You will have to bear in mind though, no matter what you write down, it costs money. It really does. There's no way to be nice about it. It costs a lot of money. You have to remember that everything has to be designed and drawn up and animated or rigged. There's a lot of man hours that go into making a design. And that might affect what type of VTuber you actually want to go for. Whether it be a PNG tuber, which is one of the cheapest, a live 2D, which is, quite honestly, can be the most expensive, or even a 3D tuber. Now the hardware you actually have will affect what you can do with your model. I was lucky enough to already have an iPhone. Believe it or not, iPhones have the best face tracking. I mean, look at this. Look at the smiles. Oh yeah. All caught by the iPhone. Now the reason why it's able to do this is because it has Face ID built in, and there's nothing that can compare at the moment, which means it's very good at tracking the facial movements. And when you have really good facial tracking, you can do all sorts of things like, it may not be the best, but a webcam still does the job. And when you're first starting out, you don't need to go crazy and get an expensive model. One of the most common things is people thinking that the model is gonna make you super famous. It's gonna make you a streamer, top tier. Yeah. But it's not. You gotta put the work in. You gotta learn how to make videos, and you gotta put yourself out there. And even for me, it takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of time to understand. Oh, this is how it works. You know, so if it means you have to start with a PNG tuber and then slowly work your way up, that's perfectly okay. You have all the time in the world. So once you have your camera chosen, next we have to look at your computer. How are you going to run this thing? It could be a really bad Windows XP. No, I can't. The older your PC, the harder it's going to be to run. So if you can get a nice PC, something to work on. I mean, most of you, I'm assuming, are probably going to be wanting to do video games on it anyway, which means you might have a good PC. So just make sure that you have a good computer that can actually run VTube Studio, or whatever it is, or whatever software it is that you're going to be using. Now, next up is the most important. We got to find a good person to actually look and commission our model for. Now, how do we do that? Now, some people would think about looking into a website like Fiverr. Now, Fiverr's good if you're looking for a PNG tuber, something that's going to be quite low cost. And, you know, it does the job. It does the job. It might be a great starting point if you haven't got the best budget in the world. So you have all these different options that you could choose from. Personally, I would only recommend buying from a site like Fiverr if you're looking for a low-cost budget VTuber model. Now, if you're actually looking for a model like mine, where you can be super expressive, you can have all the different designs in the world, where you can just change up whatever you want at a moment's notice, put on headphones, get lost in the world, then we got to do some digging. Now what we're going to do, believe it or not, we don't search the web. So what we're doing is we're actually looking for VTubers on Twitch. And we see which ones are there and which ones we like. Now Twitch actually recommends me a channel for VTubers. But you could also just type in at the top, live channels tagged VTuber. There we go. All of a sudden, we can see a million VTubers. And you know what? We want to be just like them. They're good. They're expressive. They got great designs. And all we need to do is we need to actually find a design that we like. Now this process will take a little bit of time. You might have to go through quite a few VTubers to find one that you're happy with, that you quite like the look of. For me, what I ended up doing, I ended up finding a guy who changed his name to Denial. And I ended up going to his about page, looking for credits. Here we go. VTuber art and rigging. Now, in almost every VTuber's about page, they have credits. And here, you can see he's written his VTuber art and rigging is Eruga. And this is exactly what I did. I clicked on the link, and it links to their page. This was his original design. This is what I actually saw. And I was like, yeah, that's a good design. How he's moving is really smooth. And almost all of them have a link. So as you can see with Eruga Ei, his applications are open. So every commission page will be different. This is where I went. You can have a look at their portfolio and see how his designs have been done. And if you're happy with how they look, you can consider actually commissioning them. So if we have a look at commissions for Eruga. So yeah, when you first come to this page, you'll actually be able to see this sample. And the sample also shows you a half body, which will be the top bit here, or a full body. The full body will cost more. However, it means that you can zoom in or zoom out, and you're not going to be missing your legs. I need my legs. So I bought a full body, but they do cost more. Now here are the prices for Eruga. The amount of work that Eruga Ei does, he probably should charge more. The fact that he's charging this, I saw this and was like, I'm getting it. There's no way I'm not getting this. Because live 2D models can go up to the prices of tens of thousands, sometimes even more, because the amount of work that goes into it is unbelievable. I could never do it myself, and it's worth keeping that in mind. I actually went for a T3, and then I had all sorts of additionals thrown in there. I wonder, I could get a cheek puff. I don't have cheek puff. I could get a cheek puff. Maybe I'll come back. So yeah, that is basically how you do it. And to show that it's not just being done on Denial, you can do it for any of them. Just find a VTuber you like with smooth animations that look really nice. Like Demi here, it's got a great VTuber model. They absolutely always have credits in their Twitch bio, and you'll be able to find who made the model. That is how you actually get your VTuber model. Now there is a difference between actually commissioning the design of the model and actually getting the model rigged. So some artists may only do the drawing, they might not do the rigging, so you might have to find someone who is also a rigger and also a designer of VTuber models. I got lucky, Eruga done everything, so I didn't have to worry about it. It might be that you have to commission an artist and a rigger separately in order to get your VTuber model done. But once it's done, the last thing you got to talk about is the ownership. When you're first starting, you don't really know what's what, and it's quite important to actually get your head around it. Now, when you're asking a designer or an artist to actually make your model, you have to make sure that you're getting full ownership, which can cost a little bit extra. Now, this is a big part, believe it or not. Now, I got full ownership of my model, but that doesn't mean I get to just print him on a mug and sell him. No, that's not how full ownership works. If you were to make a model and then you all of a sudden were to blow up and you're like, this is great, and you want to do other things, you would have to go to them. They would be the owner of effectively your IP. Not your IP, but they own your design. Now with full ownership, I'm able to put Bodir wherever I want. He's mine. He's mine! But it does not mean that I get the ability to just slap him on the side of a mug and sell it. No. Now every part of my model has had to be designed and drawn. You have the ownership of the design, but you didn't do the drawing. You didn't draw the model. That was still done by someone else. And if you want to sell that, you may have full ownership, you don't have commercial rights. So I own the design, I don't own the drawing of it. However, because I own the design, I could also go to another artist, get them to redraw my design, and then I could sell that because I own the design. I don't own the drawing. So that's my advice. Try to get ownership of your model. It may cost a little bit extra, but at the end of the day, you really want to have it. So the difference between full ownership and commercial rights is the fact that full ownership, you own the design. I own having a scar over my eye. I own having a polar bear with a purple top. I wasn't the one who drew me. That was Eruga. If I'd ever wanted to sell something like a t-shirt with my model on it, I would have to get commercial rights, which is a whole separate thing. You don't need to worry about that yet. But by having full ownership, you have ownership of the design, and you can commission other artists to make other things to sell if you wanted to do that, or if you wanted to commission a whole new model entirely. By having ownership of your model, you could then do that. If you wanted to upgrade from a PNG tuber to a 3D tuber to a 2D tuber, it doesn't matter. If you wanted to put him in a TV program, in a movie, as long as you have ownership of the model and you can commission other artists to do the designs, and get commercial rights one way or another, then that's great. Make sure you get ownership. So that's effectively how I got my VTuber model. I'm going to checkpoint the video so you can actually go back and watch the bits that you need to actually get the info for. It just makes it a little bit easier. But do remember to like and subscribe and check out my other content if you want to see it. And you can find me in Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and even join me in my Discord server. The links are all in the description.